My philosophy is you start in the real estate, build a base, and then once that base gets you more wealthy, you grow more wealth, do some cash out refinances, because if you buy something for $100,000 and then it goes up to $300,000, you pull out $250,000, you go buy 10 more of that thing.
So Lucas, what's the number one secret to growing 3 pillars of wealth? And what are the 3 pillars?
So the 3 pillars are paper assets, real estate assets, and businesses. My belief is, and this is an opinion, obviously, is that real estate is the number one asset. It's the base for pretty much building into all the other assets. Because real estate allows you, because it's an age-old business. It's easy to understand. It's got great tax benefits. You don't really have, you don't need a rocket science degree to figure out, buy a house, rent it, buy a house for cheap, sell it for more money than you bought it for. It's all really simple, it's all simple stuff, but it's just hard sometimes in the execution. And that's where people get bogged down. So those are the 3 pillars, but basically my philosophy is you start in the real estate, build a base. And then once that base gets you more wealthy, you grow more wealth, do some cash out refinances, because if you buy something for $100,000 and then it goes up to $300,000, you pull out $250,000, you go buy 10 more of that thing. Or if you have money sitting around, that's when you go into paper assets. And your paper assets, that's going to be your crypto. I just assume all paper assets, it's money that sits somewhere and it appreciates or pays dividends. So that's going to be dividends or interest payments. So that's going to be your bonds, crypto, stock market, real estate notes. So if you get into seller finances and providing lending for other people, I used to be in the mobile home industry, and I used to provide. I did a lot of seller financing because you can find markets that banks won't touch, and you can be the hard money lender on a lot of these things, which is a really good way to make money. But the problem with those is you have to have a big pile of money to get into those markets and those investments. So, and then your last one's going to be businesses, which is a great way to make money. Problem is businesses have a 80% fail rate. And the problem with that is, why would you go immediately into businesses when you could go into real estate where it's simple? Buy a house, rent it, buy a house for cheap, sell it for more money than you bought it for. You're not reinventing any wheels. But with businesses, it's like, well, I'm going to come up with a new app. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to create this new amazing thing. And it's like, well, what happens if that doesn't work out? Mm-hmm. And because of that high risk, it's one of the top tier pillars, but you need that base to get into those tiers. So that's why in my worldview, paper assets is where you store your money when you're not using it. Your real estate's going to be your main driving force. And then once you get to a certain level of income and wealth, then you're allowed to get into business.
Got it. Wow, that's a ton of wisdom in a short period of time. So there's 3 pillars. There's real estate, there's paper assets, and there's businesses. And real estate would be the base, maybe the safest, most tried and true, and also has those tax benefits. So that's a good place to start. And then paper assets would be a good place to store it in between, maybe buying real estate deals or when you're just trying to save and build wealth to get to a point where you can buy a business, start a business. Is that a fair summary so far?
Yeah, exactly. And
okay.
and the reason I tier it like that is because some people, they want to jump a tier, and I'm like, unless you got the next Google or the next Facebook or the next $1 billion idea, by all means pursue it. But for the vast majority of us, we gotta start at the lower tiers. And that's one of my number one financial planning things I always train people on. It's I know what you want to do, but it's like I equate it to taking, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, as my old man used to say. You take one bite at a time, but if you take too big of a bite, you'll choke and die.
Got it. That's a good analogy.